All right, hi everyone. This is Lori Klein and welcome to Meet the Healers. On today's show, I'm super excited to be speaking with three practitioners from Brain and Body Health Solutions located in Los Gatos, California. They are a co-op of alternative healers, healthcare practitioners who believe that when your brain and your body are functioning optimally, that you will thrive. Now, they each have individual practices and they offer different specialties, but they also work together and they collaborate to provide whatever care is needed to each patient. So whoever comes to see them has access to a whole suite of healthcare professionals. So their website is brainandbodyhealthsolutions.com. And I will post that website on my show notes in meetthehealers.net. So hi everyone, and thank you for being here. Dr. Therese Walsh-Van Keuren. And wave your hand so people know who I'm talking about. So she does Chinese medicine, herbal medicine, functional and integrative medicine as well. So her goal is to be an inspirational force for change towards better health and education through ethical and ecological health practices. So she has her license in acupuncture and herbology and received her PhD from the American University of Complementary Medicine. So welcome, Therese. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
And Darla Booth. Hi, Darla. So Dr. Darla Booth graduated from Colorado State University with a Bachelor of Science in Sports Medicine and Sports Training, and she got her doctorate at Palmer College of Chiropractic West. And she provides a variety of services, including lab work interpretation, food allergy testing, nutritional coaching. So thank you for being here.
Mm-hmm.
And Stephanie. Hi, Stephanie.
Hi.
So I love the tagline on your website, Got Your Health, Got It All, which is also the name of your website, gotyourhealthgotitall.com. And also I wanted to tell people to check out the recipes on her website, especially the sweet potato black bean collard wrap. I can't wait to try it. It sounds amazing. So Stephanie is a certified holistic nutrition consultant who works with individuals to help achieve health through nutrition, and her passion is supporting others as they achieve their health and peace through nutrition. So welcome. My first question is, what motivated you to pursue your chosen practice? Stephanie, you want to start?
Oh, I get to go first. Okay. Well, I have a family history of colon cancer and lost my dad. He succumbed to colon cancer about 10 years ago. And was what pushed me over the edge to go back to school and study as much nutrition as I possibly could, because I want to be the strongest person that I can be in case I get it. But hopefully my diet and lifestyle choices will keep me from that path, because it goes beyond him. It was his dad and his brother both lost battles to cancer as well. So I'm like, nope, ends with me if I can do anything about it. And if it doesn't, then I want to be the strongest I can be to fight it. And so that's what led me back to school to become a nutritionist.
Wow, so it started as a personal thing and now you're helping others.
Yeah, I find great pleasure in just helping other people find their path to nutrition, to what they're putting in and where it goes for them.
Awesome. Thank you. Therese, you want to go next?
Okay, sure. I have always been interested in health my whole life. I grew up in Chicago, and my mom was someone who was very, very into health, and she used to bake her own whole wheat bread every week. And every Wednesday we'd come home on the bus and know that we could have a piece of hot baked homemade bread. So that was kind of the foundation for health, was how I grew up in my family. And then as I got older, I realized that it was more of a vocation for me, but more of a calling. And so I entered into school. I actually wrote to the state of California and asked them for a list of licenses that were given by the state of California. And so I went down the list and realized that Chinese medicine was in alignment with kind of the holistic view I had of a naturalistic philosophy. And so I pursued acupuncture school. I got a master's degree in Los Angeles, and then I went on to get my PhD in Los Angeles as well.
Great, thank you. Darla.
Yep. Okay. So I was always interested in doing some kind of physical medicine, whether it would be physical therapy or chiropractic. Kind of went down a lot of different arenas trying to figure out what I wanted to do. Decided on chiropractic and did chiropractic for a little while, graduated from Palmer, and then found that after I had my daughter, that I was very anemic and tired, and not just normal tired from like having a baby tired, but like I was having a hard time functioning. I'm like, why is my skin so pale? You know, what's happening? Found a seminar that talked about doing blood work and trying to figure out what supplements can correct blood work and make them into optimal ranges versus just pathological ranges, and did my own blood work and found out I had all sorts of stuff going on. So continued going down that line just as a personal, trying to figure out my own health. And then it kind of rolled into my daughter had some asthma and some allergies and what's going on with that. Found Dr. Karazian, and I've done all of his training. I don't know if you've heard of him before, but he runs the Karazian Institute. Did all of his seminars and have just gone from autoimmune to digestion to female hormones to food allergies to just really being able to wrangle as much blood work as I can and food allergies and whatnot. So it's more been trying to optimize my family's health, and then it just sort of rolls over into my practice. And I'm finding that that is attracting more people. I mean, I get people that come in that want chiropractic, and then they're tired, and then they're exhausted, and they're not sleeping, and it just kind of rolls into trying to solve all the things. So, and I love the team that we have at the office, because then I have so much great backup. I can say, here, please take this person. Here, please take this person. So it's been a really amazing journey. Then we finally have what we wanted, right, lady?
Yeah.
So
it's
the best.
We have a great office.
It's really, really great.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for sharing that. One of the reasons why I'm doing this is because I'm hoping that when people listen to this or watch this interview, and they might be having some kind of a problem, and they might normally go to their doctor, their family doctor, their traditional doctor, to address whatever problem they're having. And so my first question is, so how would someone know when should they come to you versus their family doctor?
I'd like to speak to that. I find that I just ask all of my patients that come in, when's the last time you had blood work done? Have you had recent blood work done? Have you done lipid panels? Are you checking for diabetes? Do you have any autoimmunity in your family? We kind of start digging a little bit, and oftentimes they do have some blood work, and maybe it's just very incomplete, or it's just a couple of things that they've had run. So I'll either give them a list of things to get their medical doctor to run, or I'll just send them with a requisition form and go ahead and get them to get the blood work done with us. And then from there, looking at that, just catching things, right? Like, and I think that that's probably everybody's biggest fear is, I have something going on that is not going to get caught, right? And I'm going to get sick, and I'm going to have stage 4 cancer or whatever. I think everybody carries a little bit of that fear around. So I feel like I mean, I'm not saying I'm an opportunist, but I kind of use that to say, hey, let's look, right? I'm a safe person. I'm not going to be crazy and make you do things you're uncomfortable with, but they're mostly comfortable in our office. So they feel like it might be a safe space to kind of dig in. So we ask, right? What do you have? What are you doing? Why haven't you done that? And can we do that for you? It's kind of how we approach it.
So they're already in your office for other stuff, and then it's a matter of like, and do you have anything else going on, or do you want to check and take it from there?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And would you say Therese and Stephanie same answer, or do you have different something else you want to add?
Well, I think for me, a lot of my people come from referrals from Darla, Therese, and doctors tell their people to go see a nutritionist. And a lot of times they don't know where to go, or they don't know where to start, or someone hands them a food list and tells them, you're not supposed to eat gluten anymore, and here are the 50 names of gluten. Good luck. See you later. And I'm the person that kind of steps in and helps them figure out where gluten lives and how to, remove it from the diet, let's say, and then how to put other things in to keep the gut in balance and keep them moving and going and feeling good. So I work in kind of referral based from those types of options.
And I know that I'm doing some research on nutrition as well, and knowing that traditional family doctors don't get hardly any training at all in nutrition, which is really scary. My personal experience going to a doctor who wanted to just give me steroids to help with inflammation, and me going, but what's causing it? What's causing it? Therese, did you have anything you wanted to add?
Yeah, I mean, I ditto on everything that was already spoken about. I work on a functional medicine basis as well. I think I ask people to bring in their list of symptoms, list of recent blood work, or any other kinds of tests, list of any kind of medications they might be on, supplements they might be on, and have them try to come in armed with all the stuff that they want to share with me. And I think we all do a very extensive health history of the person themselves and also their family history. And that gives us a direction, on where to start looking. I have an immune specialization, so a lot of the times people come to me who are either immune deficient or they have autoimmune situations or chronic degenerative diseases that gradually impact and impair the overall immune system over time. So that's kind of where my lens is.
I did a little research to learn what functional medicine, what that term means. And there might be people out there who don't know what that term means, have never heard of it. Who would like to give a little bit more information about just explaining what functional medicine is and how it works?
Darla, you want to take that?
Sure. The way I approach that with functional medicine is just, we're not really working with a disease state. We're not hoping that they're not getting to a disease state. We're trying to do a lot of prevention and a lot of education about how not to develop these chronic diseases, how to be a bit more immune resilient, and how to work more in an optimal way. If you have food allergies, figuring out what they are. If you have leaky gut, getting that repaired.
What is leaky gut? Another word for leaky gut is increased intestinal permeability. Inside our bellies, we have an extensive intestinal lining that covers more than 4,000 square feet of surface area. So when it's working properly, there's a tight barrier that forms, which controls what gets absorbed into our bloodstream. An unhealthy gut lining might have large cracks or holes, which allows partially digested food or toxins or bugs to penetrate the tissues beneath it. This may trigger inflammation and changes in the gut flora, or normal bacteria, that could lead to problems within the digestive tract and beyond. Studies show that modifications in the intestinal bacteria and inflammation may play a role in the development of several common chronic diseases.
Doing a lot of things that are just preventative minded, I think, is more of what we're looking at. If someone's extremely out of range on some of their blood work, then I might co-manage with an endocrinologist or another medical doctor that will help handle their 911 emergency, because we're not necessarily in the business of handling the 911. We're in the 411 area, right? Just kind of looking at the preventative, educational, moving them in the right direction, trying to keep them out of those red zones. That's what I would say it is.
Okay, got it. Yeah, so it's heading it off at the pass, heading off the disease at the pass, basically, before it gets to that critical stage.
Okay. I'd say we all overlap on the functional medicine piece.
Yeah,
we do.
And then Stephanie manages, diet very carefully and step by step, very methodical. And then I do, acupuncture, Chinese herbs, and gua sha cupping and moxa and all this kind of stuff. And then Darla does the chiropractic piece and also the neurological chiropractic piece, which is really critical to our brain and body health office. So it's very, very important piece that she can manage in catching cognitive decline and arresting it, or even improving it. So
yeah, that's a big piece that we're kind of trying to weave in a bit more, dealing with head injuries and concussions, dealing with, early Alzheimer's, early Parkinson's, memory issues, even just inflammatory brain conditions where we're not sure what's happening, just trying to sort out what's happening with the brain and why, right? And getting to the root about why it's there. And a lot of times they'll have a patient who's really having a difficult time maybe with their memory, but maybe it's really, when you look at the root cause of it, it's coming from their thyroid, right? That's the kind of stuff we're trying to sort out, like not just, oh, sorry, your brain doesn't work anymore. Let's try to get to the root cause and try to get to the why and try to solve for it as much as we can, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And that kind of leads me into my next question about some examples. I wonder if you could each share a story so that people who are watching or listening can go, oh, wow, you know what, that's happened to me. And so maybe that's an indication of something that's going on. Or
I have an interesting example of one that I've worked with Stephanie. This person hasn't worked with Therese yet, but we're going to launch him your direction shortly. It's a person that I got a referral from an orthopedist who's a friend of mine who just said, I don't know what's going on with this guy. He seems to have some cerebellum stuff going on. He's tripping, he's falling. Can you help sort this out? Because I know you can help get to the bottom of it. And nicest guy is like 65 and he's falling and he has no balance and he does not know why. And I did a neurological exam on him and I'm like, there's stuff going on with your brain and your ability to perceive where your position is in space. That's usually the parietal lobe that's doing that. You have these balance issues, but is it the cerebellum? Or when he coughs, he collapses, which tells me there's something going on with the spine. So we did a neurological exam on that. He's got a bit of brain stuff. He needs a spinal surgery. He's got spinal stenosis. And then we did blood work on him and he's got diabetes. So, we're just like, wow, this is tangled knot, because you're not going to get blood flow to the brain to be able to do brain rehab if he's got diabetes. And I'm not going to be able to get his balance going if he doesn't have a back surgery to actually handle his really severe stenosis. So it just got so tangled. We're like, holy cow. So he's working with Stephanie first. And what are you working on with him?
Yeah, we're working on eating at home. And not eating. There's a lot of fast food in there, and there was a lot of skipped meals, so the blood sugar was getting out of whack, and so being hungry, being starved. So we're talking about eating regular meals spread out through the day, and then we're talking about the quality of the food that he's taking in, because we really want foods that are going to help feed the bloodstream, feed the bloodstream, and we want him to be detoxifying too, because he wasn't quite getting the elimination process. So we're really started working with him with just getting the sugar, getting the diabetes kind of balanced out with eating regularly, but eating fresh fruits and vegetables, eating good protein, and eating regularly. But then adding in a few tips and tricks, like he's not going to give up his morning cup of coffee, so he's going to put a little coconut oil and ghee in there, so he gets the fats and hopefully helps feed the brain a little bit. So just different things like that, which have been, I think he's been feeling better. And so I think if he can feel better as he preps to go into surgery, and then that will be a whole nother realm of eating that we'll do as he gets ready. To make sure he's the strongest he can be to go in and get the surgery.
Well, and helping him to prioritize where to start. It's like, figure out how to eat, drink water, do all those basics, go see the neurologist, get a full neurological exam, get a plan for your stenosis, and then we can start doing some brain rehab and handle the fact that he was actually really deficient in B vitamins as well. So we got him going on those. So it's just, you can't build a house on this crappy rocky foundation. We have to smooth this out first, and then just depending on how motivated he is depends on how far he goes, right? If he's like, okay, I'm eating better, I'm feeling better, I got my back surgery, I'm fine, then that's fine. But if he wants to go deeper, there's more to do.
There's a lot of work, and but we try to give him that foundation, give him the strength to build from.
Probably so many people out there have one symptom, they go to the doctor, they treat that symptom, but there's probably a ton of other things happening that never even get looked at or addressed, and they just end up having something else happen. Therese, did you want to share a story about someone that came to you, and what happened? How did it go?
I am thinking of two people. One in particular, I can weave into what we've just been talking about. So that is a patient, female, who came in, and she was referred to me by another doctor who is a homeopathist. She was referred to me because she had severe dizziness, vertigo, and memory loss that was sudden and severe after the death of her dog. I worked with her and I realized that it seemed like there was a lot of inflammatory elements that were not responding to my care. She'd feel better after she did acupuncture. Her stress would go down. She felt that she was improving, but she seemed to plateau. So I wanted her to be assessed for her neurological and dizziness and vertigo. So I referred her to Darla, and Darla did a whole battery of tests with her, and she was difficult. We really had to work hard together, and we had to call in other people in our office to go further and further. And I haven't seen her for a while, so that's encouraging for me.
Yeah. Yeah. What's interesting is it turned out to be, she's kind of got some cerebellar issues. So her ability to have balance and coordination, she had a little bit of a struggle there. I don't know if it seemed like she had had a previous head injury and the stress kind of brought this out. And what was interesting, we actually brought another person into our office she worked with, is another chiropractic neurologist who sorted out some different balance things she could do. But what we figured out is when she got a little bit spun out with her cerebellum, she got really nauseous. And then that was driving us down this food stomach path. And it wasn't even food stomach. It was food. It was nauseous from her brain. She had some vertigo going on from her. The cerebellum is supposed to be telling you kind of like, where are you in space and how do I coordinate all this stuff together? And it works a lot with the vestibular centers right in the center near your brainstem. And she definitely had some inflammation going on in there. And Mariana, another person we work with, she really teased that out. And that's what's so nice, is that if I can't sort it, she'll sort it. But it wound up not even being a food thing. It was like a brain thing. That was interesting.
That's what's so great, having one pair of eyes, two pair of eyes, three pair of eyes, four pair of eyes on someone, sharing information. We just benefit. Everyone benefits. The patients, the doctors, everybody benefits. It's very supportive environment. Yeah.
Yeah. And I just sent somebody over to Therese that I saw for the first time who had a sudden onset of Bell's palsy. So worked with him, did some laser work, did some adjusting, put him on some supplements, but then didn't have a lot of improvement within a week. And I said, go get some acupuncture. So I know that Therese is you just started working with him, see if we can get that to change right away. Cause he's an executive in the Silicon Valley and he's having a hard time being on Zoom and having half of his face be droopy.
Wow.
And stressful, he wants to get on it, and clean it up, and us too. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I have one other example. Can I share with you?
Yeah, please.
I wanted to just tell you the story about this woman who had seen me for many years in Los Angeles, and she was one of the subjects on my treatment outcome study that I published in 2008. But I left Los Angeles, I came up here. She was, I hope, seeing people that were helping her, but then she took a really sudden turn for the worst. And she had been diagnosed with chronic fatigue syndrome and fibromyalgia. She had a lot of trouble with just functioning in her daily life. Fast forward to last year, I had written some letters for her so that she was capable of getting onto disability, which was a godsend because she was really, really suffering severely. She was able to come up here to Northern California and get another assessment done. And she was suffering from severe brain inflammation that was affecting every function of her brain, her breathing, her digestion, her immune system, everything. And so I was very alarmed by this, and I wanted her to get a full neurological assessment. And so I did work with Dr. Mariana Nielsen, who Dr. Darla had just mentioned about. It was amazing because I was able to sit in on the whole assessment session, which was super educational for me, and really I valued it so much. And I watched Dr. Nielsen putting this patient through all the paces, and I saw her getting more fatigued and more fatigued and more fatigued and more fatigued in a short 10-minute period of time. She couldn't do a lot of the tests that we wanted to do with her. At one point, Dr. Nielsen grabbed the DopaFlow spray, which is a neurotransmitter spray, sprayed it into her mouth, and her skin turned pink, and she started to have facial expressions again. She started to gesture her hands again, and it was just miraculous. It was like night and day. It was unbelievable. So from that little small moment, Dr. Nielsen was able to say that she has Parkinsonianism, and then it kind of redirected her whole brain rehab in a little bit of a different direction. So it was just fantastic. I mean, just some of the things that can happen here are they're amazing. They're really, really amazing. The dovetailing of all the disciplines. It's really a beautiful thing. And we want more people to know about us.
So first of all, we try to make our rates really reasonable so that people can pay cash. It's not extraordinary cost. I know some functional medicine people in town that charge $1,000 just to see them, which is crazy. So we try to have a really easy entry point for people. And we don't actually bill the insurance, but what we do is we'll just put all the diagnosis codes on a super bill and they can submit to their insurance. And if their insurance covers chiropractic or covers nutritional therapy or covers acupuncture, it will cover it at whatever rate their insurance covers it. So, and usually it's 80% because we are not hopped all into all the insurance companies as far as preferred providers, but usually at 80% is what they'll usually see. And we really try to do the best we can to keep their costs low. If they're going to do regular blood work and they have PPO health insurance, it is covered. I can order that. So that makes it easier because then I can run all the blood work for just no cost out of their pocket. If they're with Kaiser or if they have an HMO, usually I will write down what they need and they can go to their doctor and get those things. So we're pretty compliant on how we get the things. Most people are pretty motivated by the time they get to us and they're saying, you want $500 for the food allergy test? I'm down. Let's do it. So kind of depends on what they need, but we're absolutely trying. We're very mindful of that cost issue. I don't know. Do you guys say we're the same way?
I actually do bill insurance. But they have to have a plan that covers acupuncture. Usually any plan that covers chiropractic care will also cover acupuncture care. It's very, very few exceptions to that. But a lot of people don't know whether their insurance covers chiropractic and acupuncture care or not. So I just submit the insurance claims and then we kind of sort it out afterwards, which is a little bit more work. I have done the super bill as well, and that works great as well. But anyway, for now, I still provide the insurance billing service to my patients. But
if someone doesn't know, they can just call their insurance company and ask what the coverage is for. Chiropractic would be one, acupuncture would be the other one, and then nutrition.
Nutrition services are typically not, because I'm a holistic nutritionist and I'm not licensed by the state. I can give people a bill. I do give people bills and they have submitted them to their FSA. So if they have a health savings plan, they can a lot of times get the cost covered through that.
Those are kind of all the questions that I had prepared. I wanted to just go through and see if you had anything else you wanted to share with people before we sort of close out.
Oh, I just wanted to mention that you were curious about our neurofeedback. We have a couple of different varieties of neurofeedback here. One of them is called Brain Tap, and then Darla, you might know what the other ones are, but
Mariana mostly does the neurofeedback, which has been just a little niche that she's gotten into, which she's had some good success with. She also uses the hyperbaric oxygen chamber, which is really nice to have that, and it's inexpensive here she's made it pretty inexpensive so that it's pretty approachable. So those are nice things that are offered. We also do the right eye brain assessment, which is a computer system that does eye tracking, like pupil tracking technology that they use after head injuries or concussions, and it tracks your eye movements and flows, and it tells you if you hit targets or if you miss targets or if your eyes are coordinated together or if they're going up and down or not going up and down or going in a coordinated fashion. It gives you a lot of information about how the brain is working. So that's really fascinating. We have that, and that's available to our patients. We have so many things that are available. I feel like that's our biggest challenge, is trying to educate patients as to the other things that they can do, right? So we just try to guide them, but we really need to kind of do like even an open house once the crazy COVID is over, and just expose people to other things, right? That are available to them, that are in our office.
Yeah, well, you know what? It would start with an initial phone call saying, I have these things, and I send out an intake form and some assessment forms and a food journal. And for me, that is like one of the biggest keys to helping people feel better, is they sit down and they journal what they've eaten for the last 5 to 7 days. And they have to be accountable for what that is, but then also how they feel after they eat. And then they come in and we meet and we go through that. Recently I had a client, she was really diligent and submitted her food journals, but I kept looking at everything and she kept saying she was drinking out of a water bottle at all meals and all the time. So I was very happy, thinking she's hydrated. And then we dug into what the water bottle was that she was drinking out of, and it was a plastic water bottle. And she would get a new one every morning, and then she would refill it throughout the day. She was having a lot of gut issues, a lot of bloating, a lot of just different things. And we kept trying to figure it out. And what it finally went back down to is, I'm like, you might be having too much plastic in your diet. Changing a lot of her different foods worked, but we still had that hiccup. When we took those plastic water bottles out and started converting her to more glass and stainless, and then even her food storage and her food cooking, she started feeling a lot better. Wow. And those things turned around for her. So that's the kind of one example in that area. A lot of times with inflammation, people are not getting enough water, not enough hydration, and they're doing a lot of things that are dehydrating in their diet, and maybe it is with their food. So that can have a lot to do with joints. And then certain types of foods and how they work together can also affect the joints. And we kind of take that puzzle apart through the food journal, and then an extensive interview and intake of, what have you been doing? Have you been on antibiotics? Have you been sick? How do you eat? When do you eat? And that really we go through that process, kind of getting a good picture of the whole person.
So you're a detective.
I am.
You're all detectives, I think.
We all are. Exactly.
All right, great, thank you. And then I assume, like for Therese, if someone came to you with inflammation, you would have a certain way to address that as well?
I probably would be looking at their underlying constitutional strengths and weaknesses. That's probably where I would begin. And I would have to assess whether the heat from the inflammation was coming from a constitutional deficiency or strength, or if it was coming from outside the way they're made up. And if it's coming from outside the way they're made up, I probably, number one, would have them do a food allergy test and, get those allergens out of their body and those triggers for inflammation. And then if that solves the problem, great. And if that doesn't solve the problem completely, then I might start, I'm sure it would be if I recommended a food allergy test, I guarantee that there's going to be some factors there. Mm-hmm. When those factors are handled, it's a matter of knowing if there's more inflammation beyond that or not. And if they're stuck in an inflammatory cascade and can't get themselves out of it, it's usually an immune problem. So then I would start working on their immune system to reset it,
Got it.
with acupuncture and various herbs and stuff.
Right,
kind of a matter of ruling things out and then deepening, and then ruling more things out and then deepening. And so a lot of that ruling out has to do with functional medicine testing.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. So Darla, that's kind of where you would start, I guess, with doing all the blood.
Yeah. The three of us and Mariana, all of us use this a very similar metabolic intake form, which is super helpful because, you can sit and talk with a patient for an hour on getting the history from them, and they'll forget to tell you that they can't digest fats, or they don't tell you that they drink 2 glasses of wine every night, or they don't tell you that, oh, I've been ANA positive forever. You know, like all these things where you're like, why didn't you tell me that? Like they don't know what's important. So it's helpful for them to come in with that form filled out so that you can kind of go, oh gosh, we're headed toward blood sugar issues, you know, and now I can just do a very focused history on how long have you had shakiness between meals? How long have you had high blood sugar? How long have you had, you know, is this run in your family? Do we need to run some autoimmune markers to see if this is turning into not just type 2 diabetes, but type 1.5 diabetes because there's autoimmune things. So you see these things in their bigger picture. So I think most of the patients come in with this one little thing that's this big, and really you pan out and go, actually, here's the big picture about what's happening with you. And it's the fact that you have had, you know, this high zonulin in your GI map test and your microbiome is really crappy.
The microbiome is the genetic material of all the microbes, bacteria, fungi, protozoa, and viruses that live on and inside the human body.
And I don't know that we can get rid of that inflammation until we sort that. So yeah. I think it's just kind of taking them from the pinprick look to the open wide look, and then you enlighten them as to what the big picture is. I think that's probably the biggest thing we do every day.
It's almost like you have to deprogram or reprogram people's habits, right? Because we're brought up or we're told certain things are okay. You know, our society is like, yeah, have a big basket of bread before you have your dinner when you go out to eat. You know, all these things are like normalized. Mm-hmm. Drinking soda.
The plastic water bottles are huge too.
They're huge.
Look at any of the studies on autoimmunity. That's one big theory about why are we getting so much autoimmunity?
Autoimmunity is the system of immune responses of an organism against its own healthy cells and tissues. Any disease that results from such an aberrant immune response is termed as autoimmune disease.
We have all these little plastic particles that attach to proteins in our body that makes our body look foreign. And then this immune system's like, I don't know what this is, but we got to take it down. So, you know, there's some really big things that we don't really realize we're doing because we've always done them.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, and people just think it's okay and don't ever make the connection between drinking from those plastic water bottles and feeling, you know, sick or whatever. When you are able to, you know, figure it out, you find the root cause and you're able to help someone, and it's like, oh my God, that's all I had to do is stop drinking out of plastic water bottles. Like, that's so easy. But you never would have figured that out. So
yeah, some of it's easy.
Some of it is. Some of it's a little harder.
I've been patient for 20 years, and I'm like, wow, we've made so much progress, but we're still working at it, you know. And it's you know, the body sometimes is super resilient, and sometimes the body is like, you really trashed me, you know.
Yeah.
And we can get you there, but maybe not like you were when you were 20, right?
And these things develop over time, our whole lives. We've been doing things, and we're still walking around and we're still doing our lives, and you know, we're not falling apart. And then we turn, you know, 40, 50, 60, whatever, and all those years it built up, and then all of a sudden we have problems because of that. And then it's a matter of undoing it.
Yeah. And one big question today is, how's COVID going to be affecting everybody? They're really believing that there's going to be some specific autoimmune triggers that are going to come specifically from COVID. So we just have to stay on top of everything. And all of us are always getting educated and taking seminars and trying to learn all the newest, latest, greatest, because there's a lot of things we don't know. Right. And people think, oh, I got over COVID, it's no big deal. And I'm like, it's a virus that lives in your body now. We gotta account for that. Right.
We gotta support you to rebuild and be strong.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to ask if you had any events coming up, but I realized that's probably an inappropriate question during COVID.
We're lucky to be open.
we will be working.
Yeah.
Thankfully.
We're here for you.
Yes, and I know Therese told me that you're all wearing masks and you're sanitizing your offices, and of course, obviously being very safe around that. So anyone who's interested in trying to get to the root cause of any problems that they're having, any issues with their body, their mind, that this is one of the places that they can go.
Yeah, check this out. It's a great place, and we're so thankful to have it. So it took us a long time to get to this point and to find a space, and to be able to find a space that's big enough for all of us. We have 8 treatment rooms, and so we have a lot of space to spread out. So, and bring in, you know, good practitioners. So we all feel really thankful.
I'll do a follow-up podcast after like in maybe a couple months after I come and see you, and I'll let people know what happened.
Oh, the pressure's on.
Give the report card.
Yeah, right?
Cool. Well, thank you all so much for being here and for sharing your stories and sharing your passion and just being there for our community to help people with whatever ailments they might have and to collaborate. The collaboration that you have with each other is amazing. So again, visit my website, which is meetthehealers.net, and I'll post a link to their website on there for you. And I think that's it. So thanks for being here, and thanks for watching, or thanks for listening.
Yes, thank you. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you for having us.